So let me share my screen again. Okay, so we are in logical operators. So yesterday I mentioned how logical operators work. So AND will return a true when both of the operands are true. So for example, if this part is true and this part is true, it will return true. In all the other cases, it will be false. And similarly in OR, one of them, if it is true, the output will be true. So to understand that, let me add some more code here. So here, let me go through true. By the way, so you remember, I hope you remember, any relational operator will give you a true or false. So 1 less than 2 should give me either true or false, only one of them. Similarly, 2 less than 3 will also give either true or false. Based on that, we're combining two trues or two falses or some combination of that. So it's more like two of the booleans we're combining. So here let's try to see how it works. True and true, it will be a true. Now if I do true and false, it should say a false. And let's try remaining combinations as well. False and true, again false. False and false, again it should be a false. So what I'm saying is, if one of them is if both of them are true, the result will be true for an AND. If any of them is false, so here one of them is false, here one of them is false, here both of them are false. If any of them are false, you should expect a false here. So that's how AND works. Let me create a section here. And working. Or let me write it as working on it. So that's how AND works. And how does OR works? Again, OR takes two boolean values. Working on OR. So OR also works on two boolean values, but here if one of them is false, sorry, one of them is true, that is good enough for it to return true. So let's see how it goes. Instead of one and I am using an OR. So true or true, it is saying true. Now what happens if one of them is true and another is false? So here also you'll get a true because one of them is true. That is good enough for an OR. Same case with this. False or true. Here again one of them is true. That is good enough for OR to return a true. Now if both of them are false, that is the only case it will return a false. All the other cases it is going to be true. So those are the things that happen within an and an OR. Now what happens within a NOT? Now compared to and OR, these two are called binary operators. When I say binary operators, it works on two booleans. There are two booleans, on two booleans it is working and returning a value. And NOT is not a binary operator, it's a unary operator. When I say unary operator, it works only on one boolean. Okay. Working with NOT. I think this is also working with not on. Same case with this. So not is a unary operator. So all I can do is not of true. What not will do is it will just reverse a boolean. If it is true, it will return false. If it is a false, it will return a true. So here I passed a true, it returned false. Similarly, if I give a false here, it will just say true. It's just reversing the binary operation, boolean. So that's how all these relational operators work together. Logical operators. When I say logical, so actually this can be represented by a truth table. But I'm not going in depth in all these truth tables and all. Truth table of AND. Basically, these came from gates, which are some of the basic things in your computer. But you can see 0 represents here a false, 1 represents a true. So for an AND, 0 and 0 is 0, 0 and 1 is again 0, 1 and 0 is again 0. What it means is just one of the false is enough to finally give a false. Here the first one has both the falses, so you got a false. Here one of them is false, again you got a false. Again here also there is a one of them false, so you got a false. But if both of them are true, then you get a true. But the case is different for OR gate, or instead of saying OR gate or operator, don't worry about the gates. Gates is nothing but basic elements in your computer. So again, 0 and 0 or 0, it is a 0. But rest every case, there is at least one, which means at least one true. So the output will be a true. That's how these two work. And not, I think it is very easy. Just reverse the condition, reverse the boolean. So hope this is clear. Is everyone clear on whatever I covered here?
Yes, Sandeep.
Okay. Okay, cool. So that is about the logical operator. Then there are conditional operators, which are the basic elements in any programming. So all these are mostly, if you learn in one programming language, more or less it will be same in another programming language. So now what we are talking about is if-else conditions. So most of the times in your program, you might have to write some conditions. What if this is, your logic will be depending on either the condition is true or false. And if you see the if condition, there is a two parts. There are two parts actually. So one is if and another is else. So in if, actually you give the relational operator, which we have already learned here, all these conditions. So what it will evaluate to is a boolean. If you want to use more than one condition, how do you do? You can use and or, and then add one more condition. Let's say 2 less than 3. So the result of this entire if statement should be either true or false. That's how it should be evaluated. So whether it is a boolean, whether it is a relational operator, or you combine multiple relational operators using a boolean operator or a logical operator, it doesn't matter. Finally you should get a boolean. So for example, in this case, I am saying if 1 less than 2, print this way. Otherwise, you say 1 is greater than or equal to 2. Now, what is the output? 1 is always less than 2. So you should always print this one. So if I run this, I'm getting that 1 is less than 2. And that is a simple example, but normally you should not give the literals directly. You should use it using a variable. So here I am using a few variables, x and y. I'm trying to find out here which variable is greater. Is x greater than y, or x less than y, or x equal to y? Now, depending on the variable value of the variable at that time, I might get different results. So for example, in this case, 10 and 20, x is 10, y is 20. So x is less than 10, x is less than y. So in this case, this statement should get executed, but not all of these. So in if condition, there are 3 parts. One is if condition, then else if, which is represented by elif, elif, and then finally else. So what happens is, first it will execute the if condition. If this is true, the first statement will be executed, and then the program will get terminated. If this is not true, then the statement will be executed. Again, if this is true, it will execute this. If this is false, it will go to the last statement. Whether or not these are true, if these are both are false, only then else will get executed. And else generally doesn't have any condition, so it will go into the statements within. Is that clear, whatever I was saying?
Here for variables, we don't need open and closed parentheses, and for static values, we have to put open and closed parentheses on the.
I did not get what is static value.
Static value, I mean, you are passing the value here, right? In case of conditional operators in first module, in first if case, if
I can do both the ways. Even now,
okay.
here I can do that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, got it, Sandeep.
Okay. Still it will execute. Okay.
Yeah, got it, Sandeep.
So, but the only thing is, in variables, you can see there is no declaration, unlike other languages. Just create the variable name and assign it to some value, it will work. You don't have to declare the variables. In JavaScript, you generally do var space some x, and in Java you use let's say int x or something. All these kind of things are not needed for Python. So there is no int x in Python. There is more like x equal to 10. That's it. It's more like you are declaring the variable. Okay. Now, what is this colon business? So actually, after so the if else works like this. Every part of this if else, either it is if or else if or else, each of them has a set of statements that you can execute. So for example, if statement has only one statement to execute, else if has one statement to execute, and else has also one statement. Now, how to write this kind of statements? Use a colon after the if, and then keep a tab. Keep a tab in this list of statements to execute. So let me write it somewhere. I think that is better. 1 second. Give me a second. I'm opening OneNote. So always start your within your else if statements, start with a tab, and now you can write any number of statements within that if. All the statements will get executed once the condition is true. So in this case, I can say print, maybe I can print x plus y also. Just a rough calculation, I don't know. Let's see, print. Let's say if x is less than y, I am doing x is greater than y, I am doing x minus y. Or if y if x is less than y, I am doing, let's say, y minus x, because both the ways I'll get a positive number. Now here I can do x minus y again. Now what I'm doing here is it's a blind logic. There is no reason why I should do this, but the reason I'm doing here is because I want to show that you can write as many statements as you want within this section. But all you have to do is you have to give a tab here. You should not use without tab. You should keep a tab here and then work on all these print statements. So for example, in this case, it is saying x is less than y, and then it is saying it is giving me the value of y minus x. I'm just trying to find out the difference between both of them. So for example, if my values change tomorrow, if x equal to 10 and y equal to 5, let's say, x equal to 20 and y equal to 5, now x is greater than y. So the logic executes dynamically. It decides that x is greater than y and it is not less than y. So it goes into else if. Then it tries to evaluate this one again. Is x greater than y or not? Now 20 is greater than 5 again. Now earlier it printed x is less than y. Now it should print x is greater than y. And then it should print the difference as 15, not 10. Let's try to see that. Now it is saying the difference is 15 and x is greater than 5, greater than y. So what happens here is the logic will execute dynamically based on the variable values. But earlier I said you can use literals also. But in literals, what happens? The value of the literal never changes. Value of the variable can change. Now since value of the literal will never changes, it always prints one less than 2. It never changes the output, which is not very useful in practice. That's why I always use variables here and you'll get your results. Hope this helps. Am I going too slow or too fast? I'm not sure. It depends on your programming experience.
I'm good, Sandeep.
Okay.
Fine, Sandeep.
Okay. So that is about the conditional operator. Let me give you a small exercise. Let's see how it will perform. Let's say I give you a number. Let me write it here. Given a number, output the number is even. If the number is even, odd otherwise. Very simple exercise. Okay, you can try it now. I'll give you 5 minutes. So I'll give you some x equal to, let's say, 49. You can take any number, it doesn't matter. Using this x, you should write some if else condition and then say, print out saying it is even or odd. Use this syntax. If else, always use a colon here. Then if you, for example, If true, I can write anything. I'm writing some blind logic again. I'm not writing the original logic. I should keep a colon here. Then if I enter, Jupyter will always already add a tab here. If you write with any other editor, I cannot say, but with Jupyter, that is the advantage. So can you write? I'll just wait for, let's say, 7 minutes. You can just put it in chat that I have completed, and you can give the program also in the chat. That is also better. So first problem is, how do you identify a number is even or odd? Then if you identify, you should Abid, your condition is wrong. Did you check it? Okay. Still it is wrong.
Yeah, in case of x by 2, you have to put x by 2 equal to, I mean, x percentage 2 equal to 0. So it's not x by 2, it's x percentage 2.
Yeah. Did everyone else get that logic, or? Okay. Vijay and Zahir.
Yeah, I almost got it.
So are you stuck on somewhere, or?
No, I guess now how do we test it?
Okay, you can test it here. Anyway, did you get the logic, or sorry?
Yeah.
Sorry, Zahir?
Sandeep, I put the code.
Yeah, I got your code.
Okay.
Just one thing, it is more like the number will not be neither odd or not even. It will be at least one of them, but that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just for semantics, nothing
Yeah.
much.
I got it. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so to test it, you can test it here itself. Let me write it. So for people who know programming very well, probably it is very minuscule, but that's fine. It's for everyone. So you can give percentile 2. So when I'm doing a percentile 2, so for even numbers, when I divide by 2, the remainder is always 0. And for odd numbers, when I divide by 2, the remainder is always 1. So based on that, I am writing my logic. So percentile is always a remainder when divided by 2. I mean, when I am giving by 2. So x percentile 2, it is saying the remainder of x when divided by 2. So for even numbers, when you divide by 2, the remainder is always 0. So you can say the number is even. And now you still get the, if you keep an enter, you'll still get a tab. but this is all I want to do in this if condition. So I'll just remove the tab, say else, and then say print the number is odd. Now to test it, all I have to do is shift enter, because I have already mentioned here x equal to 49. So if I do a shift enter, it will print that it is odd. What is odd? Here 49 is odd. Now I can test it, like say 20. If I run it again, the number is even. I can test it here itself, all of the values. 100 is even. For example, 151 is odd. So that's how I can test. Of course, there are other ways. You have to input this x dynamically and get, but we don't want to get there because that is an absolute programming. We don't want 100% programming here, because we want the data science kind of programming, not this kind of programming. It's more like for your understanding of Python. Hope this helps. Is this fine?
Yes, Sandeep.
Do you are you clear on this, or you want one more exercise or something? It will be a very small exercise.
Yeah, it's better if you could give one more exercise.
Okay. So for example, you can give me this is 1. I'm giving you 2. Given 3 numbers. Sorry, 3. Find the minimum. Do not use any functions here. Minimum of all the 3. Just use the basic if else condition. All the 3. So for example, if I am giving, wait a minute, I should make it marked down. Okay, unfortunately it is trying. Okay. So what I'm giving here is, let's say x equal to 10, y equal to 15, z equal to, let's say 5. I should get a output saying z is smaller of all. I can change any order, but based on that, I should get the variable that is smaller. So in this case, my expected output is, let's say z is the smallest of all. And by the way, do not use any minimum function kind of thing. If you use a minimum function, then there is no use. So are you guys able to do this? So here either you have to use logical operators, or if you don't want to use a logical operator like and or, you have to nest if else within if else, which is one of the, it's not very tricky, but for the beginners it might be clumsy. So Vijay, are you able to solve it?
Yeah, I did. I'll paste the code.
Sure, yeah.
First, I defined the X, Y, and Z, and then I did this.
Yeah, but your conditions are not enough, right?
Okay.
Sometimes X might be also smallest, or sometimes Y may also be smallest.
Okay.
You just have to add more conditions, Vijay. So for Z, it is correct. Maybe you have to replicate the same thing for X and Y. So you're saying Z is less than X and less than Y. Then Z is smallest. Then what if X is less than Y and X is less than Z? Then X is smallest again.
Okay.
Yeah, Subbu, you are correct actually.
Okay, sir.
Abid, are you able to solve? And Zahir? I think Zahir has better programming experience, so he will not have, might not have faced much problem. Yeah, you go, you sent me. Abid, you are right, but your ampersand, whatever you gave, that is wrong, right? In Python, it's not ampersand.
I have to give and Sandeep.
Yeah. So the purpose of solving this is to understand the syntax, not because of this is being used in data science. In data
Yeah.
science, mostly will not use these many if-else conditions and all. We can solve it in a much easier way, but this is more like to get used to Python.
Yeah, got it, Sandeep.
Hey Sandeep, sorry, I was distracted a little bit.
No, that's
Haven't-
fine. That's fine. That's fine. You can solve it. Anyway, Vijay, are you able to solve it still, or you need some help?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. So basically, we want the output to be Z is the smallest.
No, I want any one of the smallest. For example, in this case, it is Z is
okay.
smallest of all.
So any of the smallest. Okay.
Yeah. Because I just gave, right? So given 3 numbers, find the minimum of all 3. I don't want only Z. So Vijay, do you want few more minutes, or let me? Shall I start?
Oh, you can start. I think I'm almost.
Okay, cool. So so it's more like this. Like I said, there are 2 ways to solve this. One way I can say using logical operators, which is much easier. For example, if x less than y and x less than z, now I can safely say that x is smaller because x is smaller than y and smaller than z. So I can say x is the smallest of all. Sorry. Yeah. Now I need another condition for a similar condition for y. Yeah, which replied. Yeah, you're right, Vijay. That is correct. So another condition for y is needed because I need to see if y is the smallest. If the first one doesn't happen, then I'll go with the second one. Okay, if y is less than z or y is less than x, in both of the cases, I'll say y is the smallest. Then finally I can say if both of these doesn't happen, then obviously it is z that is the smallest. So I can say that. So this is one way of saying this. So for example, in this case, it is z is the smallest of all. Let's say if I increase this to 50, what happens? Now, since z is increased to 50, now I'm saying x is the smallest of all. So now you can see based on the dynamic values of the data, my code executes dynamically based on this if else. And another way to write this entire thing is using a nested loops. So for example, I can say without using this and, I can say if x less than y, within this if block, I can again check for x less than z. Now what I am doing here is, it's similar to what I am doing here, x less than y and x less than z. But the only thing is the code is nested. Within one if, I am writing another if. Now you can see, because of this nesting, the number of tabs got increased. Now it is 2 tabs. Now I can print the same thing here, whatever I printed earlier. Now I should be very careful that I should not go back 2 tabs. I should only go back 1 tab. Now I can say else print z is the smallest. And by the way, this way of maintaining the statements is going to be tough. Y greater than y less than z. I can say y is the smallest. Hopefully my logic is correct. Even experienced programmers will get wrong if they do this way, because this way is much easier and code will also be less.
In mine, when I change the XYZ numbers, output is not changing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Let me see your code again. No, you should run both the statements. Your XYZ as well as your code, you should run both of them.
How do you run both of them?
So run, shift enter here and again shift enter.
Oh, okay, individually. Okay. Let me try.
Is it changing now?
Yes, it is.
It is changing, right?
Thank you.
Okay, cool. I don't know what it is. It is y greater than z, which is, sorry, y less than z and y less than x. So it is z, otherwise it is, sorry, this is y and this is again z. So that's how I can write. Again, I'm getting x is the smallest of all. So based on the changing values, I can again see. For example, now it is saying z. Again, here also it is saying z. So based on the values, you can, the program automatically selects which statement to execute. That is the only thing. But more importantly here, you can have nested if else. Within an if statement, you can have another if and else. It's always possible to do all combinations of this sort. So hope this helps. Any questions on if else?
No, Sandeep.
Okay.
I'm good, Sandeep.
Okay, cool. Okay then, so we'll have a break of 5 minutes. We'll see some other basics of Python. There are many more actually. So we'll try to see whichever we can today. So we'll take a break until 7:20.
Okay, Sandeep.
Okay. Is everyone back?
I'm back, Sandeep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, cool. We'll start back. So with this, the Python basics part 1 is done. We'll go further into the Python. So I'm opening Python basics 2 notebook. Now we are going into some other concept called list in Python. So list is more like a collection of elements. So you can keep, so many times you don't want to keep one value at one place. I mean, only one value in a variable. So for example, if I say x equal to 10 or something, I am only using one value within that variable. But sometimes it helps to keep multiple values together. So for example, here I gave you an example saying fruits equal to some list of fruit names. Okay, some 4 fruits I just kept here. Now, when I keep a list of fruits, what is the advantage that I do get? It's more like I can process all these list of values at one place. So that is the advantage that I'm going to get with this kind of an approach. Now what I'm doing here is I'm setting all these fruits inside a square brackets. So square brackets represent a list. So in this list I am keeping 4 different fruits. Now if I print the fruits, I'll get all the collection. So like I said, list is nothing but a list of a collection of values. You keep all the similar values together so that you can process all of them at once. So if you want to access any of these values, again you can use the square bracket notation, and in this case you can see fruits of 1. So always, like I said earlier, always start counting from 0. So if I say fruits of 1, I'm accessing 0 is apples, 1 is grapes. So I should get fruits of 1. When I say, I should get a grape, not apples. Then I can also use the colon notation that I have used in strings. We have also already seen that. So if I say 1 colon, what it will do is it will start from 1 and it will subset all the list and give me a subset of list which will start from 1 to the end. So all these elements from grapes to peaches will be found when I give 1 colon. Fruits of one colon. It is giving from grapes because 1 is grape. From that to the end, it is giving me a subset of the list. Then the other way to get is colon 3. So what I'm getting here is from 0, anything excluding 3. So what it means is 0, 1, 2. So when I do this, I'm getting apples, grapes, and oranges, which is 0, 1, and 2. I can also give both the values together in the colon notation. This is called slicing, right? That's what we learned earlier. So if I use 1 colon 3, now what I get is I'll start from 1 and go until 3, but excluding 3. So what it means is 1, 2, 1 and 2. So 0 is this, 1 is this. So 1 and 2. So when I do 1 colon 3, I should get 1 and 2, which is grapes and oranges. That's what I'm getting here. I can also nest a list within another list. So here what I'm doing is I'm keeping all the groceries, not just the fruits. I'm keeping all the groceries. So here what I'm doing is all these fruits, whatever I have mentioned here, I am keeping here. And then all the list of, let's say, some detergents, soaps, and all the toiletries, I am keeping in another list. And both the list I am keeping in a bigger list. So what I'm saying here is this is one list, this is another list, and both the lists I'm keeping in a bigger list. So this is also possible. So to access these kind of lists, if I use, I can use the same square bracket notation. But if I get 0th element, now the 0th element is a list by itself. So for example, if I say groceries of 0, I'll get back a list, not a value, not a single value. Similarly, groceries of 1 is giving me another list. Now, if I say 0, groceries of 0, I'm getting this list. Within that, I can, if I want to get the any one of the value, let's say peaches in this case, I can give another square bracket notation and give 3. So what it is doing is 0th list. In this 0th list, I am getting third element, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, which is peaches. So here I should get a peaches. Similarly, if I say groceries of 1, 1, 1 and 1. So 1 is this list. In this list, I want first element, which first index, which is 0. 0 is soaps, 1 is perfumes. Here I should get perfumes. Hope this is clear for you. Let me ask you, any one of you can answer here. Anyone can answer?
1 minute, Sandeep. I got one question here. Here, you mentioned groceries of 0. You mean it will gonna list the first list present in the array, and here in the third syntax you wrote groceries of index 0 and then index 3. What does it mean, Sandeep?
That's what I'm mentioning, right? What is 0? 0 will give me this list.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
In this list, I want 3.
Okay. Yeah. Got it, Sandeep.
You got
Thank
the first list, and within that, I'm getting 3, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, which is peaches.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Got it, Sandeep.
You keep on nesting. If there is another nesting, you can add, let's say 5 or 7, whatever. If there
Okay.
is a list within list within list, the third level, if you want, you keep another square brackets and give the index. That's it.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Maybe you can answer now. 0, comma 2. What will be the output here?
Oranges.
Yes, oranges.
Sandeep, I have a question here.
Yes.
So here, initially you declared fruits as an array. Then you put fruits as one array for groceries. Then you inserted one more. Suppose you put soaps, perfumes, and detergents in another array. How would you combine them into?
Yeah, I'm about to tell that. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Here, groceries of, instead of repeating this array, that's what you want, right? Instead of repeating this entire array, can I put fruits inside? You can as well put that. That's not a problem.
But do I have to put it in quotes or not?
Let me give you. Sorry. Okay. All you have to do is keep even let's say this part is, let's say, toiletries, and here I'm giving all these things. I can give both of these as a variables also. Is that your question?
Yeah.
You can do. You don't have to put it in quotes. You just give the variable name. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is about the list of lists. You can nest in any number of lists within any list. It's always possible to access it. Then now we know how to create the list and how to index it, how to subset it, all those things. But if you have another fruit that is guava, and you want to add within this bigger list, existing list, now how do you do? If you just say append, give the list name and say append of that fruit name, now your list of fruits will have additional item called guava. But sometimes you might have added twice. Let's say if I run it again, now guava will be available twice. Now sometimes I want to delete it. I want to replace one of these apples or something to, let's say, blueberry. So these things are also possible. So for example, if I want to change this apples to blueberry or blackberry, whatever it is, so I'll just say fruits of 0 and assign that value to this whatever is the new value. Now my apples is gone. I'm using now blueberry, but still I'm getting a duplicate value here. Now how to delete it? So you just give an index number and just say delete. So there is a delete function and give the index value of that list. So here I am saying delete fruits of 4. What is 4? 0 is this, 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this, and 4 is this. I am deleting one of this guava. So if I do this and then print the fruits again, I am removing that guava duplicate value. It's not just for duplicate, but anything you want to delete, you just use this kind of a syntax. Delete is a function. That's why you can see parentheses around it. Okay. Now what happens if I want to add two lists? Can I add element wise this number and this number and this number and this number? Likewise, can I add? But unfortunately, turns out when I do A plus B, it will just add up these elements and keep it in a new list. What it is doing, it is concatenating two lists into one list. So always remember, adding two lists is not possible element wise in Python. But there are other ways. I am just setting up the ground for the other ways. But currently you can think of a list as concatenation operator only. When you do a addition, it just keeps the other list, both the lists in another list and concatenate. Is that clear? I'm just setting up the ground for something else. So just remember this. Remember that, when you add up two lists, A plus B, it's just concatenating. It's not adding up element wise. When I say element wise, my expectation is here I'm expecting, let's say C, I'm expecting some C, which is 5, 5, and 13. What I'm doing, 1 plus 4, 5, 2 plus 3, 5, 4 plus 9, 13. This is what I'm expecting here, but I'm getting something else. Is this clear? Be very clear about this part. This is what we are going to do using NumPy. There is a library called NumPy.
Yes, Sandeep.
Okay.
Thanks, Alan.
I'm just stressing so that you'll remember. Now there is just like you have for if condition, there is another construct in Python called for loops. Loop is more like it will go through each element and then try to apply some logic. So and this is mostly used for list. because list has many elements, I have to go through each element and then do some logic, right? So list is a classic example for using for loops. So how to do that? So I'm creating here a list called 1 2 3, very simple list, and then I'm doing for every list element I want to print. What I'm saying is I want to print all the elements of the list. How to do that? I can do that in a for loop. What I'm doing is I'm saying for L in LST. What is this LST? LST is my list itself, and L is for what it means here is for every L in this list. What it means here is every element in the list will be assigned to this L and then printed. So when I say this, when I run this, what it is doing is this L is assuming every value in this list one by one. So first it will assume 1, then it is printing 1. Next, L is assuming 2, then it is printing 2. Third time it is assuming L is assuming 3, then that is getting printed. So likewise it is going through every element in the list, then executing the statements within this block. When I say block, anything using this tab is a block. So for example, I can also say print L and print L plus 1, just to say that there can be more than one element within this for one statement within this for loop. So what I'm doing here, maybe I can do it as how to do it. Or that's fine. Let's go through this.
Or maybe we can use format.
Yeah,
in
we
the
can
single
use.
list.
I don't want to. I just want to show multiple elements. I mean, multiple statements. That's fine. So here, what I'm doing here is, let's say I can use 5, 1, 5, and 10. That is much easier now. So what I'm doing, every element I am printing that element as well as that element plus 1. So here I'm printing 1 and 1 plus 1, which is 2. Then 5, and then 5 plus 1, 6. Then I'm printing 10 and 10 plus 1. So what I'm wanted to say here is I can use multiple statements as long as I'm getting something with a tab. This Python will assume that this is within this for loop. The tab is very important. So if I don't keep the tab, Python will not assume that it is within the for loop. So here it is saying 1, it is printing 1, 5, 10, and it's not printing within the, this statement, it is assuming that it is outside the for loop. Now whatever is the L, the value of L, the last value, that plus 1 it is printing. So always keep a tab whenever you want something to get executed within for loop. Is that clear what I did just now?
Yeah, yes, Sandeep.
Yes, Sunil.
Okay. Now many times I might not have a list, but I want my for loop to execute for this many amount of time, this many times. For example, I want my for loop to execute 5 times, or sometimes I might want to execute my for loop for 10 times. So in those cases, I may not have a list, but I know how many times I have to execute the for loop. So in those cases, I can use a function called range. I'll show how range works. So when I say range 1 to 5, this 1 is including, 5 is excluding. So what range function will give me is a list of integers. So I'm saying range of 1 to 5. What it is giving? 1, 2, 3, 4. What it means that 5 is excluding. 1 is always including. So for example, if I want to get a list of 10 numbers, I can say 1 to 10 if I want. I should give 1 to 11. If I give 1 to 11, it will print a list of elements which is from 1 to 10. So range is such a function which will give that kind of a list. Now sometimes, you know, I want all the even numbers within 10, let's say 0 to 10. So if these are the kind of conditions I want, range still works. All I have to do is I can give 2 to 10 and I can give an increment number. What this increment number is, it will start from 2. The next number will be, every increment will be in the order of 0.2. So I start from 2, then it will increment by 2, which will be 4. Again, it will increment by 2, which is 6. Likewise, I can get. So I can also give an optional parameter which is called increment. So hope this is clear.
Yeah, Sandeep.
So this kind of functions in Python are called generator functions because it is generating a list or a sequence of numbers. Now, in many cases, I may not have a list, right? So what I can do is I can generate a list using a range function. Now in this case, I am generating a list of numbers from 1 to 5, 5 excluding, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I am printing all of them. Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, like I said earlier, I want to, let's say, print all the even numbers within 10. So what I'm doing here, I'm starting with 2 and going until 10 with an increment of 2. So here it will print 2, 4, 6 and 8. It will not print 10 because 10 is excluding. And then I can also use if else within for loop. It's always possible. I can use an if else within if else also. I can use for with if else within for, or I can use in any other combination. All the combinations are valid. So in this case, what I'm doing here, it's again some stupid logic. There is no reason why I should do this, but just to demonstrate this, I am just using this. What I'm doing, for every value within 1 to 10, if the value is less than 5, I am printing that value as it is. If the value is greater than or equal to 5, I am printing square of that number. So what it should print here is until 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 will get printed as it is, and from 5 it will square. So the output will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 5 will be squared, which is 25. 6 will be squared, which is 36. 7 will be squared, 49. 8 will be squared, which is 64, and 9 will be squared, which is 81. You can see the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 25, 36, 49, 64 and 81. Just to show you that if else is working within for loop also. Is this clear till now?
Yeah, Sandeep. Makes sense.
Yes, Sandeep.
Okay. Okay, cool then. We'll go to further things now. We'll solve some small example on for loop later, because let's complete this topic, then we'll solve one problem. Now there is something else called list comprehension. This is an easy way to do for loop actually. So list comprehension is nothing but you have a list and you want to transform one list into another list. So for example, I have a list called range of 1 to 6. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 numbers. I can use a for loop and iterate through and then give a square. But another way to do that is list comprehension. What I'm doing here is I start from the reverse. Let me do it in for loop. How do you do? For I in range of 1 to 6, I want to square each of these numbers.
Print I into I.
No, I don't want to print. I want to put it in another array.
Okay.
List equal to this one. So if I want to put it in another array, how to do that? I can do it as an append, right?
Yes.
Just now I mentioned.
Yes,
I am
sir.
appending I into I, right? Now, if I print list, I should get 1, 4, 9, 16 and 25, which are the squares of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes,
Right?
Amit. Yes.
In fact, I can write it in much, okay, that's fine. This is much easier, I think. Now this is how I do it in a for loop. Now list comprehension. So here, if you see what I'm doing, I am transforming this list into this list 1 to 5, or let me print that also. List 1. List 1 is what? 1 to 6. Let me use that list 1 instead of range. Now what is list 1? So I am using this list and I am transforming it into this list. That's what I am doing here. Right? Are you clear now so far?
Yes, Amit.
Why did you do the list dot append?
I'm just adding up all. So I'm taking one list, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to get another list, which is the squares of all of them. That is my original problem.
I mean, why couldn't you just do the print?
I can print, but if I want to use this list later, I want to use it in some variable, right?
Yeah.
If I print directly, there is, I mean, the logic is, I mean, I am not reusing that whatever I am using in for.
Okay.
I'm storing it in some other variable. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Is that clear, or you are not convinced still?
Yeah, it makes sense why you didn't use the print.
Mhm.
I thought append was just to add something to a list.
Yeah, my list is empty. My list is initially, or let me write it much clearer. Okay, I have list 1 and list 2.
Okay.
Okay. I'm removing this. And I'm printing list 1 and list 2 again. So what I'm doing here, I'm taking all the elements of list 1 and I'm transforming it into another list called list 2. And that transformation is nothing but square. Is this clear now?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Now my problem is I have a list of elements. I want to transform it into another list of elements. Now one way to do it is in this kind of a way, where I took both the lists, do a for loop, then append all the new elements into another list, and then say, okay, this is my original list and this is my transformed list, which has my transformation, which is nothing but square. Now another way to do it is in list comprehension. This is nothing but simpler syntax, but what it does internally is same. What I am doing here is, first I'll write what I want at the beginning, which is I into I. I did not define what is I here. Then I can write my for loop here, and all of this within a list. If you see the square brackets. So what I'm doing here is I want I into I. For I in, how do I define I? That is from this for I in this list. What I'm doing is, it's a it's a simpler way of doing this entire thing. So I'm just saying for I in this list, do this part. Is this clear? This is called list comprehension, and it does the same thing actually. Except that I don't have to write all of this. Is this clear?
Yeah, it makes sense on it.
Yes, Sandeep.
Yeah. Now another way to do list comprehension is also using an if condition you can use within the for loop. So for here I am saying P. Again, P I did not define here. I will define later in this for loop. P for P in range of 1 to 10. What it means is P takes a value of 1 to 10, 1 to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 is excluded. Now, if I want a conditional P also, I can say after this, I can say P mod 3 equal to 1. What it means is the remainder of, in fact, I can say 0. That is much easier to comprehend. So what I'm saying here is all the multiples of 3 you get me and put it in a list. If I do that, I get all the multiples of 3, that too within the range of 1 to 10. Is this clear, Vijay? Are you clear now? You got confused a little earlier.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Okay. I think, shall we continue? Yeah, maybe we can continue. Okay. Hopefully this for loops are clear for you, and list operations and all. You need to practice these things. It's more like the more practice you have, the more understanding you have on this Python. I don't think I
Sandeep,
can.
I have one doubt. Is there any difference between list and array in Python?
No, list is array in Python.
Okay.
In Python, when you call list, it is array in Java and other languages.
Okay.
Okay.
In case of list, you discussed there is a way to concatenate two different lists. So is there any way to add the elements of two different lists? I mean, subsequent elements.
That we'll go into later.
Okay.
The element-wise addition you want?
Yeah, I see it exactly.
The element-wise addition is not part of the Python basic packages.
Okay.
So we have to use NumPy or any other pandas or any other libraries.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll go into that when we go into this Python notebook.
Okay.
Where we'll go deal with NumPy.
Okay, Sandeep. So you told
actually
here,
element-wise comparison, element-wise addition, when I did here, I wanted this way, right? This is a mathematical way of doing array additions.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two lists, if I want to add mathematically, I need to add element-wise. When I say element-wise, first element with first element addition, then adding second elements, adding third elements. So
Okay.
these are matrix operations actually.
Yeah,
It's
Sandeep.
not supported in the basic Python. That's what I wanted to mention here.
Okay.
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 So in basic mathematics, in matrices and all, you don't concatenate the arrays. You add element wise. Okay.
Yeah, Sandeep, got it. So here you mentioned range is the generator function. Do we have any other functions other than this range?
There are few more, but generally I use this one only. I don't remember if there are anything else.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Okay.
check back. Just check and let me know.
Sure,
Even
Sandeep.
I don't remember much about
Okay.
other generator functions.
Okay. All right.
But this is more useful and more frequently used.
Okay.
Okay then. Now we'll go into built-in functions. Actually, we have already seen some of the built-in functions. Remember what is the built-in function that we have used? type is a built-in function that we have used. So when I said type of 3, it is saying int. And you can see here I am using parentheses here. So type is one of the built-in functions that we have already used. Similarly, range is also another built-in function that we have used. So we have already used some of the built-in functions, but here I wanted to mention few more. So now what is a function? Function is nothing but it's a reusable name for running some set of code. So for example, earlier you have written some code for running minimum out of 3 variables, right? So which means there is some code that executes when you run a max function or min function. So here I'm having a max function which is taking 3 and 6. I am returning 6. That function is returning 6, which is the maximum out of all this 3 and 6. So internally there might be some if else condition within this max function, and that is getting executed and you are getting some result. So functions are reusable set of code. You just have to call the function and it will execute always. So what I'm saying here is you have already written this kind of code, right? This code, this part of the code is wrapped within this max or min function. That's how it executes. So, and there are many such functions. So we'll see few of them. We cannot obviously see all of them because there could be millions of Python functions. So for example, there is a max function which is taking 2 arguments and it is returning which of them is maximum. But what if I have 100 elements and I want maximum out of all of them? So that is where your list will come into picture. I'm keeping all the elements of all the integers in one list, then calling max. When I say max of all these elements, it will go through all these elements and find out which one is max. In this case, it should be 51. So that's how it is. So, and there are a few other functions like round function. This is most useful for our data science course. When I do a round, it will round off any floating point number to the nearest integer. In this case, the nearest integer will be 3, not 4. But what happens if it is 3.68? It will be 4. The nearest one will be 4. I can also use the round function to reduce the number of decimal places. So here I am saying 3.68 convert using only 1 decimal point. So it will round off to 3.7. For example, in many of your calculations, it may be like this. And you want to, your decimal places are like, let's say 10 decimal points or 15 decimal points. And normally no one needs those many decimal points. You might want only 2 decimal points. So here it will round off to only 2 decimal points. And that to the nearest one. And then on strings, there are few more functions. So these functions, when you are calling using a dot operator, these are called methods because it will operate on this string. Earlier we are not using dot operator, here we are using. So what it will do is it is a method within this string class, string string object. So what it is doing is with this string it is taking the string and doing an uppercase. The working of methods and functions are almost same, except that we'll use dot operator. So you can see this data science, the string, it is converting into uppercase. Similarly, I can do a capitalize also. There is another function called capitalize. What it will do is the first element, character it will capitalize, the remaining characters it will not capitalize. So you can see the difference here. Here every element, every character is capitalized. Here only the first character is capitalized. And sometimes, you may have instead of New York, instead of E here, I accidentally kept an A. Now to replace the characters, there is a replace method. Again, string dot method. This is a method actually, rather than a function. So what I'm doing here is I'm replacing A with E. Now if I do this, I'm spell correcting the word. Now it is becoming New York. And if I want at what index each character is, let's say, what is the index of S? What I should do is I should use a method called index, s.index. Here I'm using S. So what it will do is it will try to find out the first occurrence of S. So it is saying 5. For example, here there are 2 A's. If I say A, what will be the answer? It will always check for the first occurrence. So
1.
1. It will not check for the second occurrence. Then anyway, I can use, you have also, till now whatever you used for print is also a function. Print is also taking in parentheses, right? So now what I'm doing is print of max of this one. Now what I wanted to say here is these function calls are always evaluated from the innermost function call. What I mean is the innermost function call is max. So first this will be evaluated, then the outer one will be evaluated. So here it will say maximum of 3 and 6 is 6. Then it will go and print 6. So that's how it works. Always the innermost function call will get executed first, then the outer ones. Then anyway, I have already mentioned slicing of strings. By the way, strings and list slicing work exactly the same way. Do not worry about how do you slice strings, how do you slice list. Whatever you work on, whatever works on strings, work on list. So here I am getting all the characters until 6th index and excluding 6th index. So what it means is first is D, 0 is D, 1 is A, 2, 3, 4 is space, 5, 6 until 6 will not be there, right? So until 5. So you'll get until S. You can see the same thing here. And similarly, you can slice 1 to 4 completely. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will be excluded. So only ATA. ATA will come. So you can slice like that. I have already mentioned, but I'm just mentioning again. Is this function part clear? Functions and methods. Method is nothing but when you call using dot, you call it as a method, but the internal workings is exactly the same. Function and method, for your case, you can say both are same.
Fine, sir.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good, Sandeep.
Okay. We'll close using these 4 things. So in Python, not everything is available in Python itself, the base package. So Python has a concept of packages. So the base methods, whatever you see here, these are coming without importing anything. But this is only the base Python or core Python you can call. But obviously Python cannot put everything in the base packages itself. So what Python did is it separated things into different packages so that whenever you need something, you import it and use it. So for example, not all the mathematical library is available in Python by default. So if you import this math library, first it will try to, you are saying that I will start using the math packages. Then you can use any of these math functions or variables. So without using this import, let's say if you run this, it will say math is not defined. Python will not understand where this math came from. The name is not known to Python. But once you import it, then if you run it, you can run any functions or variables within the math library. So math library has few constants defined. So one is pi, which is 3.14159, and there is also e. E is a Euler's constant that is also part of the math library. So most of these constants you can try to search within math library instead of hard coding things. You don't want to do pi equal to 3.14. Maybe math library has a better pi value. Okay, so whenever you want to use pi or Euler's constant, which is e, you can go and import the math library and try to use it. Similarly, there are few more functions like square root which are not available in the base Python or core Python. So you have to go and import the math library, then you will get the square root function, log function, all these things. So I have provided few functions. One is square root and another is log. So for example, square root of 49, it should give 7. And logarithm, by default, logarithm is base e. So if I do logarithm of 16, I'll get some value. But actually, if logarithm is based, the base of the logarithm is 2, log 16 will become 4. Okay. The reason is 2 power 4 is 16. It is logarithm is trying to find out what is the power when the base is 2. 2 power 4. So the power is 4. That's how logarithms work. I'm not going detail in logarithms. I just wanted to say that there are few more libraries that you can import and use. That's why I went through this.
Why is the answer for square root 49 7.0 and not just 7?
Square root of 49?
Yeah, why is it like not an
Okay, the square root generally is it returns a floating point number. Since it is 49, it is saying 7.0, but what about 50? It should give some decimal points, right? So the square root function by default is a floating point output. That's why even for 49, it's giving 7.0. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? This is just the basis for understanding how to import the libraries. We'll
Sandeep,
go.
I have one question.
Yeah.
How do you run multiple cells?
I'm sorry?
How do you run multiple cells? Multiple input?
Multiple shells? I did not get
Cells, multiple input. For example, input 86 and 88.
Can you give me an example? I did not get actually your question.
On your screen, where you say import math, and the next cell has import, math.py.
Actually,
You have to simultaneously run both the cells. Is there a way to do it?
Oh, to run both the cells?
Yeah.
Actually, in the cell option, you have these options: run all above, run all below. So maybe you can select this cell, go to this cell, run all below. If you run this, all of this below will be executed.
Okay.
So you select one cell, but the only thing is you cannot select these cells and then run. I don't think so.
Okay.
I have never tried that way, but when you select one cell, you can do, or you can always do run all below.
Got
Then
it.
it will run all of this. Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions before we close?
Oh, I'm good, Sandeep.
Okay, cool.
That's good, excellent.
Yeah. So tomorrow we'll go into the NumPy exercise. This one. The reason for telling about imports is actually not just math library. We want to import this NumPy and go through some of this code. Is that fine?
Yeah.
And probably we'll also go into the basics. This descriptive stats. Sorry. We'll complete this descriptive stats also, hopefully, tomorrow.
Sure, Sandeep.
So whatever you have learned on Excel, we can try to do the same thing on Python.
Oh, sure, Sandeep.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you,
then please, try to explore Python yourself. I can only do so much on Python, but without your efforts, I cannot go anywhere actually.
Sure, Sandeep.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Bye.